Imagine this. Canada just cut its softwood lumber exports to the US, and now America is staring down a full-blown lumber supply crisis. Canada supplies up to 30% of the US softwood lumber. That's about 28 million cubic meters a year, worth $58 billion. Why? Because Trump slapped a 20% tariff on Canadian lumber. So, Canada's hitting back. And it's going to hurt. Canadian lumber is usually cheaper than US-made wood. But now, with tariffs rising to 27% by the end of 2025, the cost to build a home in America could spike by $8,000 or more. Builders are warning this could drive total construction costs up by $30,000 in 2025. For home buyers, that means delays, price hikes, and maybe no house at all. Canada may cap exports to protect its industry and move to higher-value wood products. Think furniture, not raw lumber. Meanwhile, the US scrambles for alternatives like Sweden or Chile, but those countries supply only a fraction of what Canada does. America's own forests can't keep up with demand. Not even close. So prices go up, timelines stretch out, and frustration builds. And while the US suffers, Canada's looking to Europe and Asia, where trade deals mean no tariffs and better profits. This isn't just lumber anymore. Trump's strategy includes a 35% tariff on all Canadian goods, kicking in August 1st. The reason? He claims Canada isn't doing enough to stop fentanyl. But the economic cost is very real. US industries that rely on Canadian parts, cars, machinery, metals, are about to feel massive pain as supply chains tighten. For decades, factories depended on just-in-time deliveries across the border. Now they'll be forced to stockpile, driving up costs. And it gets worse. Tariffs on Canadian steel, copper, and aluminum could hit 50%, sending US input costs through the roof. Farmers won't be spared either. Fertilizer, equipment, feed, most of it comes from Canada. Prices are set to rise fast. Canada supplies over 3.7 million tons of fertilizer to the US and accounts for 30% of the corn Americans eat. That's all now at risk. High tariffs could push up farm costs, and Canada might retaliate by taxing US soybeans and beef, making them more expensive and less competitive. This would crush US farmers, shrinking market share and slashing income. Some could go bankrupt. For ordinary Americans, this means higher prices at the store, up to $2,800 more per household per year. The NBOR report warns that Americans' real income could drop by 1% by 2028, and we might see a recession by the end of 2025. Unemployment could climb to 5.3% in 2026, higher than normal, and a sign of serious trouble. Meanwhile, the Canadian dollar is rising. US exports become less attractive. And American consumers are stuck paying more. In Canada, shoppers are choosing to stay home. Cross-border traffic is down sharply, some bridges seeing drops of 30% or more. Erie County, New York, lost $5 million in taxes nearly overnight. That's a brutal hit to local budgets. For some towns, 70% of weekend revenue came from Canadian visitors. That flow gone. And the reason is simple. Canadian loyalty isn't what it used to be. The deals don't add up anymore. Phones, medicine, even groceries are now cheaper at home, especially with the weakened loonie and rising US prices. Business Wire says 71% of Canadians plan to buy fewer American goods, 25% say that's permanent. Big US retailers are already hurting. Target and Walmart see foot traffic vanish, inventories pile up, and aisles sit empty. Souvenir shops are losing hundreds of millions. Tech and pharma down over 6% in revenue. Online orders are replacing cross-border trips. According to the US Travel Association, even a 10% drop in Canadian tourists could wipe out 140,000 American jobs. And a 30% drop. That's $6 billion gone from the US economy. These are real losses. For real people. Then came Canada's digital services tax. Trump saw it as an insult and killed trade talks. Canada didn't blink. It retaliated with a 50% tariff on $22 billion worth of US metals. That move struck at the heart of the U.S. Canada supply chain, especially the Detroit-Toronto corridor, home to critical auto production. Canada imports US steel, makes car parts, and sends them back. A 50% tariff on steel coils means US automakers now face $850 more in costs per SUV. That's a direct hit to Ford, GM, and Stellantis. They'll either eat the loss, or lose buyers to Toyota and Honda. And it doesn't stop there. Analysts say over 7,000 jobs in Michigan and Pennsylvania could disappear if steel flow is disrupted. But while this economic war rages, there's another bombshell: Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. It slashes $1.1 trillion from healthcare, gutting Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. That means 16 million Americans could lose health coverage. Over $50 billion in new medical debt. Families could face $22,800 in out-of-pocket costs. For many, that's bankruptcy. The bill turns healthcare into a luxury. A single diagnosis could now destroy an entire household's finances. It's not just policy, it's pain. The kind that spreads from one family to another, crushing dreams and stealing futures. And what's the plan? Hope no one notices. Even Elon Musk called it a historic stain. Democrats are sounding alarms. 16 states are already trying to erase medical debt. But the bill would reverse it all. Because when people stop spending to pay for healthcare, the whole economy suffers. Jobs vanish. Growth stalls. So we ask, beautiful for who? Definitely not for struggling Americans just trying to stay afloat. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, share it. Drop a comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Untold Compass for more real stories the headlines miss.